This is a song called the Pushboat Shanty. The pushboat pushes the chain ferry between East Cowes and Cowes on the Isle of Wight when there are fast flowing ebb tides on the River Medina. It was written by Steve Love. They bought a dodgy ferry which was too heavy for the crossing, so it's always had trouble, so they have to have another ferry to push it. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, the Pushboat Shanty. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along, push it left, then push it right, push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now the Medina's waters there I know, where the tides do ebb and flow, where people must pass across to and fro, so push the floaty over. The crossing it is too wide to wade and too high to fly, and there is no tunnel underneath to keep us dry. There is no bridge, I know not why, so push the floaty over. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along, push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. And so they built a giant raft, with ramps and runways fore and aft. It's neither a bridge or yet a craft, push the floaty over. A mighty engine takes the strain, and hauls across and back again. Winding on a giant chain, push the floaty over. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. They made that chain from iron strong, but went and built the floating bridge wrong, because it's much too deep and much too long, so push the floaty over. And much too broad and much too wide, and it gets swept up by the swirling tide. It loses its way and hits the side, so push the floaty over. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. So what did they do then, I note? They had to buy another boat. To keep the floating bridge afloat, they need to push the floaty over. They got a tugboat, aye they did, to push the floating bridge, I don't kid. It cost us all £1,000,000 to push the floaty over. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. But the floating bridge has broken down again, and it might get mended, but I don't know when. What shall we all do till then, and how do we get over? Now the pushboat never does go wrong, back and forth all day long, and the engine sings lighter song to push the floaty over. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now here is my suggestion, sir. Float the floating bridge and let it go. It costs 5 million, yes I know, but it can't take us home. Then put the pushboat on the chain, and let the pushboat take the strain, hauling out and back again, and we will get home at night as right as rain. Push, sing the pushboat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Now if they had let it down to me, and I had the engine key, I'd take the pushboat out to sea, push the floaty over. And then I'd push the Isle of Wight, and push it south with all my might, till the mainland's out of sight, push the floaty over. Push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. Yes, push, sing the push boat song, push the floating bridge along. Push it left, then push it right, and push the floaty across the Isle of Wight. The push boat shanty.
So tell me, that's a true story? That's a real thing?
Yeah, they do have a push boat to push the chain bridge over, because when the tides are heavy, because it's so heavy, it gets stuck on the chains, I think. So they have to give it a push. And when it gets to the other side, it was again a bit tricky to dock it, because they made a bit of a hash up with the ramp as well. So it's been a bit of a disaster, really. But they've got around it.
How many ferries are there going over to the
There's
Isle of Wight?
there's only one which goes to and back, but if
This
the
is between
ferry's
two
not,
sides of the river on the island, not right across from the mainland.
no, it just goes from Cowes to East Cowes. But
Oh, okay.
if the ferry's not running, you have to drive all the way down to Newport and back again, which is about 20 miles, and they take cars across on this ferry. So if it's not running, they run another ferry, but only for passengers. So the cars have to go all the way to Newport and back again.
I've been on it.
Have you? Okay. Yeah, I have. A long
Okay,
time
well,
ago
thanks.
now.
It's interesting.
Yeah, when they first built it,
All right,
evidently
thank you,
it
Brian.
damaged the undercarriage of the cars, so they had to make some adjustments. It's been a bit of a disaster, really.
All right. Thank you, Brian.